Hi everyone. Welcome to my channel, Secrets Behind the Stars. All the details are in my video. If you like it, I'd love it if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. You can support me even more by clicking the join button below. Thanks, and let's watch my video. In show business, where a single heart emoji can spark 1,000 theories and silence can be the loudest answer, stories surface, vanish, and then come roaring back. But few have shaken the internet like what people are whispering today, the alleged secret wedding of Barış Baktas and Yağmur Yüksel in the United States. If true, it would turn everything we thought we knew about them inside out. What once sounded implausible is suddenly on everyone's lips. Not only did they continue their relationship after the public believed they had split, but they supposedly stayed married for 3 years without anyone suspecting a thing. And the most unsettling part is that this wave didn't start as a casual rumor. It exploded from a carefully hidden memory, a confession that appears to come from someone who was close enough to know. How did it begin? Why would a couple hide a bond as serious and steady as marriage? And what if the breakup the world saw was orchestrated from the start? Brace yourself, because what follows feels like a series script brought to life. And here at Secrets Behind the Stars, we're going to walk you through every twist. The timeline starts well before any supposed ceremony. When the media frenzy became unsustainable, when breathing and shooting scenes felt like 2 jobs instead of 1, they chose the boldest solution: step away, go quiet, disappear. That's how it looked from Turkey, anyway. In truth, they put oceans between themselves and the constant pressure. Their destination? The United States. A place where Barış had set foot long before fame turned him into a headline, where he knew streets and coffee counters and friends by first name. A place where, much to Yağmur's surprise, fame loses its fangs. In Los Angeles, nobody trailed them with long lenses. No one dissected every Instagram story for hidden meanings. No one tried to decode a glance into a press release. For the first time, they did what their lives at home rarely allowed. They walked like any couple that isn't constantly watched. Imagine simple mornings with no cameras, just quiet breakfasts, the smell of coffee, and someone reading aloud from a menu. Picture slow strolls by the shoreline, no hoodies pulled tight, no hats pulled down to hide. Picture dinners where the only flashes were candle flames, not paparazzi bulbs. That kind of anonymity can feel like therapy for 2 people who live under the brightest spotlights. And somewhere in that quiet, something shifted. The rush softened, the noise faded, and their connection deepened into a decision neither of them had planned to make so soon. Sources say that in the hush of that new life, they took an enormous step, a wedding as intimate as a secret, a ceremony so small it could be contained in a single room, with only a handful of people they would trust with their lives. No red carpet. No exclusive press. No indulgent spectacle. The details people imagine are disarmingly modest. A simple dress that looked like it belonged to the moment, a classic suit that didn't need a brand tag to speak, and the quiet conviction of 2 people saying, "I do." If that event happened, it happened so discreetly that many of their friends back home remained completely unaware. It almost plays like a film scene, a love sealed in private, guarded by a pact to protect it at any cost, and kept under wraps for 3 full years. While headlines multiplied, did Barış and Yağmur split? What's the real story between them? The picture behind the curtain may have been strikingly different. Word has it they shared a small house in America, one with more routine than glamour, shared breakfasts and late-night movies, fights over nothing that turned into apologies before morning, and the kind of laughter that never needs an audience. A real marriage, the kind that grows from ordinary days rather than staged moments. So why hide it? Why pull off a separation that wasn't? That's where the less romantic corner of the industry steps out of the shadows. Contracts. Brands. Agencies. Scheduling. International distribution. Audience expectations. The invisible hands that often tug at public figures. People close to the situation insist that revealing a wedding at that moment would have triggered an earthquake with too many aftershocks. When famous couples marry, the machinery recalibrates. Advertisers push for joint deals. Producers pitch projects that sell a love story rather than a script. Suddenly, the couple of the moment becomes a box office in itself, and creative choices start answering to algorithms and marketing plans. The pressure mounts, the headlines multiply, and personal life becomes marketable inventory. Those who claim to know say that Yağmur wanted to lock in a career identity rooted in her work first, not her relationship status. Barış, for his part, wanted space to choose projects for their craft rather than their click potential. Together, they agreed on the hardest solution: protect their private life by feigning distance. Unfollow each other. Clear out old posts. Avoid joint appearances. Post content that seemed perfectly contradictory, enough to keep the most curious fan pages guessing, but not enough to prove anything. What many took as a final breakup, in this version, was a shield. A disguise calculated down to the detail. A smokescreen they lived behind so the work could breathe. Now that this theory has resurfaced with such force, fan detectives have done what they always do best: sift through the archives, freeze-frame the past, and stitch together a patchwork of clues. Suddenly, details that once seemed meaningless look suspiciously aligned. 2 coffee mugs with identical chips, posted on the same day but tagged in different places. The same abstract painting hovering on the edge of 2 separate photos. A ring everyone dismissed as just an accessory that kept reappearing in ways too neat to ignore. Quiet vanishing acts from social media at exactly the same time, followed by a coordinated hush that felt almost rehearsed. Faced on their own, just coincidences, woven together, a breadcrumb trail. But this isn't trending just because of fan theories. According to the sources that triggered the storm, there are more than whispers involved: documents, outside records, and, most provocatively, testimony from people insisting they were there. One voice allegedly broke the silence with a sentence that lit up every timeline: "I was at their wedding." There's no point in hiding it anymore. With that, social media went from curious to feverish in a heartbeat. The reaction split the public in two. For some, it's simple. If the love was real, they didn't owe anyone a press conference. Others feel stung, saying the entire narrative around them now looks staged, that years of following their every move suddenly seem like a hall of mirrors. Fan pages pulled images out of storage like evidence boxes. Threads filled with side-by-side comparisons. Entertainment shows devoted segments to the story, then poured gasoline on the fire by inviting people who might know more. And through it all, Barış said nothing. Yağmur said nothing. And you know the old rule: when something isn't true, it's usually denied fast. When the answer is silence, people start hearing meaning in the quiet. Which brings us to the question no one can stop asking. After 3 years of a supposed secret marriage, where are they now? Is the marriage still intact, a silent fortress standing behind closed doors? Did they separate, which is why the secret began to leak? Are they planning to make it official at last, exchange a hush for a statement? Nobody seems to know for certain. The only solid fact is that whether this turns out to be proven true or not, it has already stamped itself into the mythology of Turkish show business, a rare blend of love, ambition, privacy, and choices with consequences that ripple through careers. Some point out the way their timelines shifted at the same moments, how press tours lined up with curiously empty personal calendars, how projects were chosen with almost unnatural caution whenever the rumor mill roared too loudly. Others keep returning to one little house in a quiet American neighborhood. An address that shows up in background records, a mailbox where certain names allegedly overlapped, a place where a few neighbors claim they saw 2 very familiar faces taking out the trash like any married couple who never imagined they were part of a hidden epic. Whether those accounts are accurate or not, the story has acquired that sticky quality gossip gets when it carries what feels like a heartbeat of truth. Of course, there's another angle that makes the entire narrative cut deeper. By crafting distance, they may have built a shelter for love, but they also created a fog that now leaves everyone starving for clarity. Did the smokescreen become too convincing? Did protecting their bond require more pretending than even they expected? The mythology of a secret wedding promises romance, but the reality of guarding it for years requires discipline, coordination, and nerves of steel. The price of privacy is often paid in rumors. If there is a wedding certificate in a drawer somewhere, it would be a document stamped with both tenderness and strategy. If there is not, then the story is the most elaborate coincidence the internet has ever spun. But consider the sources that dared to speak. Their words were not tossed casually into the wind. One claimed to have seen the vows. Another referenced a date and a tiny venue. A third hinted at a simple reception where the toast was whispered rather than shouted. None of this proves anything, but in a culture hungry for a love story, even the outline is enough to set imaginations ablaze. In the end, we circle back to the truth that started the storm. 2 people, 2 careers, and a decision that would have changed how every frame they filmed was received. Barış has always given off the air of a man who weighs his steps, who prefers creative freedom over hot takes. Yağmur has cultivated an image of elegance and control, careful with what she shares and what she holds back. If they chose to love quietly, that choice aligns perfectly with who they have always seemed to be. And if the facade was real, if the unfollows and deleted photos were a choreography rather than a collapse, then their silence is not a dodge, it's the last piece of a plan that protected what mattered most. Tell us. Do you believe that Barış Baktas and Yağmur Yüksel were secretly married in the United States? Or do you think this is just another chapter in the never-ending carousel of rumors? Drop your thoughts, your theories, and the clues you think everyone missed. Here at Secrets Behind the Stars, we will track every lead, chase every new whisper, and watch every move, as respectfully as possible, because whatever the truth is, this story feels far from over. Thank you so much for watching my video. See you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.